Today I'm going to show you how to do a 1 point perspective picture that is a sunset and a dock. Okay, so imagine that you're taking summer vacation and you're somewhere where there is beach or water or pier or dock that you could jump off of and go swimming. So we're going to use paper. It can be colored paper if you like, loose leaf if you have. But I'm using computer paper. I'm using a ruler, and to begin with, I'm using a pencil. But then once we add colors, you can add colors using paint, markers, crayons, colored pencils, whatever it is that you have. So the first thing I want to do is I want to draw a line, a straight line across my paper. So this is going to be our horizon line. This is going to be where our water starts. So depending on how big you want your sky area of your picture to be, your sky is going to be above the line, and your water and your pier is going to be below the line. So depending on where you put the line, like if I put the line here, it's a very small bit of sky. It's going to be a lot more pier. If I put the line down here, very short pier, very big sky. So I'm going to go with a little bit more than halfway above my paper. So I'm going to draw a line. Okay. That is my horizon line. So this is going to be my sky above, and this is going to be my water below. Then I'm going to pick a point on the line, and usually in these kind of pictures we use the center. So this is 8.5 by 11 paper, with 11 being the widest distance, the longest distance. So I know that half of 11 is 5.5. So I'm going to go to my 5.5 line and make a mark there. Okay, and that will be the center of my paper. So now, when we use a 1 point focal piece, that means that all the lines come from either start or end at this point. Okay, so I want to make my pier, and what I mean by pier is I mean the wood that goes out over into the water, so that you could stand above and look down into the water, or jump off, or you could tie a boat off there. So I don't want it to go all the way to the horizon line. That would be a super long pier, and I don't want that for my project. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to match it up to my focal point, that point we made, and then I'm going to start a little bit away from that line and make the first side of my pier. Then I'm going to come along again to starting at this center focal point line. I'm going to draw another line about the same distance. My lines are a little funky, so I'm going to erase this line. This doesn't quite look right, and start again. So now I'm looking at it. I put my focal, and that's the great thing about working in pencil, you can always erase. So I take my focal point, and I just want to make sure these lines go together. Okay, and then when I'm done, I'm going to bring the two lines together by making a little line straight across. Okay, so this is going to be my pier on the water. How I know it will be, how will I show it's a pier, is I'm going to make some lines straight across, like they're wood, the slats of wood that piers are generally made from. And as I get closer to the bottom of my paper, I'm going to make the lines a bit wider, or the pieces a bit wider, because when you look at things going away from you, they become more narrow. So the pieces of wood up there would be less visible to me, but the pieces of wood down here would be most visible. Okay, so this is my water, this is my pier, and this is my sky. Once I have my essential lines done, I can actually begin coloring in my piece. So I'm going to start with the sun, and I know the sun has many, many colors. As part of it, I'm going to make a half circle using my yellow. And then again, the sun, when it sets, has oranges in it, has yellows, gets to red. So then I'm going to take my orange, and this is a highlighter, so it has like a fluorescent color orange that I really don't mind. I kind of like, but I'm also going to use a more traditional orange to cut in that. Okay, and this is going to give indication of my sun during sunset, and then I'm going to go with a more red color for the rest of my sky. Feel free to use crayons, markers. You may want to make your sky more blue, but this is how I wanted mine. Now I'm going to go back over my yellow because I want it to sort of bleed into the orange a bit. So I'm going to go back and color that through. And now below my horizon line is my water. And the thing about water is that as it moves away from you, or further away from you, it gets darker. So I'm going to take my darkest blue and go over that line, right? This is where the water is. But I'm not going to just leave it as just the line. What I'm going to do, because water is many, many colors, I'm going to come in and bring my blue down in random patterns. And the reason why I'm bringing it down in random patterns is because when you see the sun's reflection on the water, it makes different patterns in the water. So I start with my darkest up top. Now I'm going to take a different color blue. Let's see, I'm going to take some, maybe like a turquoise, and I'm going to fill in the areas, some of the areas of that, the darker blue, so you can see how these colors get to mix and give you an impression. I'm going to take some blue crayons, all different kinds of blues. You could even use greens, turquoise, and I'm gonna begin to bring the colors down. Don't go over your pier, because that's gonna be in a different color. And so you just begin to use your markers to help you imagine or envision what your water would look like. So I'm going to get started on the pier. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to outline it in a dark brown. And when I outline it, I'm not going to make it like a straight line, because piers over time tend to warp, meaning that the straight pieces of wood, they get corroded by the water over time. They get worn away, and so they're not as straight. So I'm going to make that feel by taking my darkest brown marker and just going over the sides and making them a little uneven. And another thing about wood is that it has, some of the wood has those lines, those circular rings, as it were. Not everyone has it, but some of them do, and it helps make it look more like it's a piece of wood. So I made those like kind of abstract circular shapes for my wood. And now I'm going to go in and use different versions of brown. I'm going to use a caramel, a darker brown, and sort of more golden brown. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my lightest brown and color everything. And then I'm going to take my slightly more caramel brown, and I'm just going to highlight some of the lines, right? Just to give it some color texture. And then I'm going to take my darkest brown, and I'm going to highlight a few areas, not covering everything, but coming back through some of them. But making sure I cover all of the pier. Okay. Now I'm going to go back into my water, and I'm going to again use my dark blue color, and I'm going to get some purpley blues. In there. And then I just go back over with another color to make them blend. And there you have a 1-point focal picture of the sunset and a pier or a dock. How did yours come out?